individual who has an extraordinary life journey, one that shows we can overcome any obstacle, reach beyond ourselves, helping our family, our community, and our world. She is a best-selling author. Her life became the subject of a feature film. Please check out Liz Murray.
At a young age, she was left homeless, turning to a shelter for hope. Despite the obstacles that she faced personally, she understood the importance of education and how it could change her life. Upon receiving a full scholarship to Harvard, she overcame adversity and graduated. Today, she continues to be a base for change. Welcome, changemaker, Liz Murray.
Give it up for Liz Murray, everybody!
From the Bronx in New York City. When I was born, oh hey Bronx! When I was born, my father was in prison on drug charges and my mother was legally blind and addicted to heroin. When I entered this world, I was born with her drugs still coursing through my tiny newborn body. But it was only the start of many years together where my parents' use impacted our lives. In fact, their addiction completely shaped our lives together. My sister and I, sometimes when we got really hungry and all the money was already spent from the welfare checks, together we would knock on our neighbors' doors and we would beg for food. Sometimes together we ate ice cubes. Once we even split chapstick and a tube of toothpaste. When things got really bad, together with my sister, we would try to sleep off the pain from hunger. We would just say, let's go to our dreams and let it fade away. I do not blame my parents for their drug addiction. I am not angry at them. I believe that they had a disease and that they were sick. And it was tragic, but it was not personal. They were suffering, and their suffering caused us all to suffer together. And for that, I just could not find blame in my heart. Because I knew that if I hadn't had a hot meal all day, well then my mother hadn't had a hot meal in 2 or 3 days. And if I needed a new winter coat, I could not take my eyes off of my father's sneakers because duct tape was holding them together as they cracked and crumbled and fell off of his feet. What I'm saying is that my parents taught me people can't give you what they don't have. And if it takes compassion to see that, then I'm grateful because my parents taught me compassion. They taught me to count on myself and live a life and with my heart free from blame. In fact, sometimes no one is to blame. You know, there's only what happened, and then the bigger question that you're left with. What do I do now? Now what? How do I move forward in my life? As a result of all of this, when I was 15 years old, I became homeless on the streets of New York City. By then, my father was HIV positive and living in a homeless shelter. My mother, she just couldn't fight anymore, and eventually she lost her battle with AIDS. When we buried her, it was the day after Christmas, and we had a charity funeral. She was put to rest in an unmarked grave in a pine box with the top nailed shut. While there was a taxi ticking behind me, I watched them bury her, and I paid for that taxi by begging for change. I took it back to my neighborhood in the Bronx where I could stay temporarily with friends, but really I had no idea what I would do next. I had no idea what would happen to me. In the months that followed, after I worn out my welcome in every one of my friends' homes, I began stealing groceries and begging for change to eat. I slept outside in the streets, in the hallways of my friends' buildings where I felt safe, and eventually on the subways at night, I'd curl up and I would take my backpack and sit in the corner, and in my backpack I had my clothes and my journal and a picture of my mother when she was my age and she had been homeless in New York City. The train would rock me to sleep at night and I would wake up in the morning surrounded by commuters. I realize now that as I'm talking to you guys and as I'm sharing my life, it may sound so drastically different than what most of us are used to, at least in North America. But actually, what I tend to think is that I was very much like everyone here, even if I was homeless, because no matter where I slept, whether it was a hallway or a friend's home or in a park under stars, I would dream of having a better life. And who doesn't do that? You know, there were nights when I was kept awake by certain calling from inside me, that voice in the back of my head that I believe we all have. I call it the what-if voice in each of us. And it whispers to us and tells us the things in this life that we are meant to do. You know, whether it's apply to a certain college or run that marathon or change your life. What if? It's that part inside of us that dreams. My own what-ifs at the time went just like this. What if I went back to school, got a job? What if I completely changed my life? Being homeless didn't take that away from me. I still dreamt of what was possible. It is no small miracle that I was eventually able to reach for my what-if questions, that losing my mother woke me up and taught me to deeply appreciate my life. After all, what is gratitude other than realizing that every single thing you have, you could just as easily not have it? Isn't that what true gratitude is anyway? Because I had lost the person that I loved the most in this world, my mother, my origin. She was gone, and when she was, it became clear. This life is short. This life is precious. And though I had no material wealth in this world, what I realized was in other ways I was wealthy. I had my friends. I had my health. I had my life. I even had access to education. I realized that sometimes in this life we need to stop counting all the things we don't have and simply be grateful for the things that we do. Isn't that so? Day to day where I would sleep, I became filled with this new determination. I would return to school. I would double my course load. I would do 1 full school year every semester. I would get straight A's. In 2 years, I would complete high school while I was homeless, while I was sleeping on the streets or friends' houses or riding the train all night, wherever I could rest. I would attend school every day on time. I would give 100%, no excuses, putting one foot in front of the other. It helped tremendously that there were nonprofits. They make all the difference. I found my way to a community organization that gave me health care, hot meals, pantry packs filled with food. These services kept me alive, and I enrolled in 10 courses every term, did my homework in the hallway light at night, and I ate what I could when I could from the donated food. I survived on the love of supportive teachers, and no one knew I was homeless. That was my secret. When you dare to reach for your dreams, unfortunately, there will always be plenty of people in this world quick to tell you what you can and cannot do. People who will tell you that your dream is just too big, you're not realistic. Here's something I know for sure. No one knows what's possible until they're already doing it. I graduated from high school with an A average, packing a full school year into every term. I slept on the streets, wonderful scholarship. Life made into a movie. I wrote a best-selling book, and today I stand in front of you, a graduate of Harvard University. So what do I think we should say to people who tell you that you need to be more realistic with your dreams? I know I'm in good company among thousands of my shameless idealists today who will agree with me. Again, no one knows what's possible until they're already doing it. You have to find out in action. What do they hear but bootstrapping? They think individual hard work. They think you're determined on your own. But actually, I believe deep down, all of us know that no one gets where they're going alone in this life. Each of us needs a little bit of help. And I would not be standing here today if not for the people who helped me. When I won that scholarship, the New York Times told my story on the cover of the Metro section. And the extraordinary happened. Something that restored my faith in humanity, something that reminds me of all of you. I walked into school and there were dozens of strangers who had read that article. They came and they wanted to help. They didn't know me, they didn't know each other, but in their arms they carried things like baked brownies, clothing out of their closets to send me off to school. They gave me hugs. They paid rent in an apartment for me. They filled up my refrigerator. They turned on my lights. And I never slept another night in the street ever again. Thanks to those friends. Where I come from, I did not know that people could be good. I didn't understand that people could be giving. But if it wasn't for the help that came, and with my sister who was helped, my friends who were homeless, these people kept coming back and back. They built us beds, they surrounded us with support, they fed us, and they saw me off to college. Standing here with you guys today, you remind me of those people. When I think of the good that you do in the world, these folks, after the world had let me down, they lifted me up. They remind me of what you are creating today at We Day. Do you even know how incredible the impact has been so far from your 2011-12 year? Because allow me to tell you what you have done. 5.4 million Canadians watched the We Day webcast. That's 1 in 6 Canadians. 609,000 pounds of food collected. 182,000 youth participated in We Scare Hunger. That's right, raising 100,000 people were silent for 932,000 hours during the We Are Silent campaign to raise awareness for those around the world whose voices have been silenced through poverty. $2 billion was raised for local charities and $3.4 million was raised for global causes. Not to mention, 1,699,000 hours were volunteered for local and global causes. That is who you are in the world. That is what you are creating. You know, there are people who would hear of your good work and they would call it charity, but I believe sometimes what we call charity is actually nothing more than justice. You are shameless idealists enacting social justice, and I acknowledge and I applaud you for your work. Today, if I could leave you with something, I have a new dream that I'd like to share with you as I go. My dream now is that I see people all over the world, and we create a platform for them to help one another, just like the angels who helped me, just like the folks who you helped through We Day and through Free the Children. And I want to ask you now, before I go, will you dream with me? The entire world had one place they could all turn to pay it forward every day. What if we harnessed the power of the web to spread acts of kindness across humanity? That's what my dream is today. I want to bring the power of social networking together with the spirit of pay it forward, because in my opinion, it is long overdue. That's why I created the world's first social networking site that tracks and visually maps acts of kindness as they spread throughout the world. The site is called Give4, and you can find it at igive4.com. Go there, share your kindness, have it linked with other people committing acts of kindness, watch it grow and spread exponentially throughout the world without limit. My vision is to have it be the largest social network of people helping people. So will you dream with me? I'm asking for it. If you ever find yourself discouraged, if you ever doubt for 1 second the difference that you are in this world, I want you to think of a woman named Terry. Terry was the last of a group of people who came to help me. She was different. She came a month after the others. I remember when she stood in front of my school, she introduced herself. "Hello, Liz, I apologize." I said, "I've never met you." She said, "Liz, shame on me. I read about you. Your article from the New York Times has been sitting on my refrigerator for weeks. I told myself I would help you, and then I said I had no time and no money. Shame on me, Liz, because this morning I was doing my laundry, and I thought to myself, Liz must have some laundry, and sure enough, Terry got in her car. She drove over to my school, and that's when I saw she had 2 empty plastic laundry bins and said, "Well, do you have some laundry?" I said, "Are you serious?" She said, "Like a heart attack, let's go." She packed my bags, she got my clothes, and she cleaned them once a week, every week for my entire last semester of school. And when she left, she said something I will never forget. She looked at me and said, "I can't do much, but I can do that." If I could leave you with a quote today by Coach John Wooden, it is my favorite quote in this world: "Don't let what you cannot do interfere with what you can do." It is no one's job to solve all the problems in this world. It is only our job to do our part. Thank you for being shameless idealists, and thank you for the difference that you are in this world. Thank you, We Day. Thank you.
We've got another performance coming up in less than 2 minutes. But before we get to there, I want to introduce a huge supporter of the Free the Children family. Please welcome the chair and CEO of Subway Restaurants for Alberta and BC, Margot McCaleb, joined by her mother and son.
The spirit of We Day is about empowerment. It's about the power within each one of us to leave the world a better place. Empowerment is what allows people to make changes in their lives, in other people's lives, and in the world. Our 350 Alberta franchisees wanted to support We Day to help empower you to leave the world a better place and to create positive change. And so many of our franchisees understand change. You see, like me and my family, a lot of them are new to Canada. They came here seeking a better life for their families. They came from countries where few people dare to dream. When my mother came to Canada, she spoke no English. But thanks to his grandparents, my son today can dream, and he dreams big. And like you, these dreams will allow him to make a difference in the world, to make the world a better place. Big differences are often caused by small changes. So never underestimate the power of your kindness and your generosity of spirit to bring about a better world. Subway salutes you. Thank you for your kindness. Thank you for your generosity. Thank you for your energy and your enthusiasm. Thank you for raising awareness. Thank you for dreaming and for awakening in us all the need to make the world a better place. You guys rock! Now, my son and I recently had the amazing opportunity to meet our next performers. They're a band that needs no introduction. They're doing their part to change the world. They're great supporters of We Day and Free the Children, and they can help out any chance they get.
Calgary, let's fire it up for Hadley!
Calgary, we're gonna play a song for you called Beautiful. Before we do, I just want to quickly remind every single one of you that beauty has so much more to do with what you see than what you see in the mirror looking back at you. Isn't she Isn't she beautiful? Isn't she everything you need? Isn't she everything you need? Let's go again.
To accomplish them, and the leadership to persevere through tough challenges. The same characteristics that bring projects to life also bring weeding to life, and they lead you to weeding. At CMA Alberta, knowing what's behind the members is what's important. You can have a rewarding career and be a leader in our global community. It's time to look past the numbers and inspire change.
To tell you about this year's We Day special section, please welcome the publisher of the Calgary Herald, Guy Huntingford. But first, check out this video.
Wow! We Day! You know, throughout history, newspapers in print and online have informed and inspired us. You've just seen some of the headlines that have inspired social change. We're so excited to see what headlines will inspire your next movement. Now, right now, I'd like you to look inside the bags that you got, and you will see this special section from the Calgary Herald. So while you're looking for that, I will tell you that on the surface, this looks like an ordinary newspaper. But if you look closely, it's full of your stories. The special section is a celebration of your commitment to passion and social change. Looking at this special section, it's easy to know that you will inspire and become the next big headline. And of course, the Calgary Herald will be there in print, on mobile, and maybe your next tablet. Now, I have the pleasure of introducing the next speaker. He's appeared in over 100 films, including this summer's amazing Spider-Man. But his achievements go beyond his great acting career. He's a dedicated father
and activist who believes that to change the world we have to begin with ourselves. So please give a very warm welcome to Mr. Martin Sheen.
Thank you very much. Good morning. I have been an actor all of my life. In fact, I have no conscious memory of ever not being an actor. But while acting is what I do for a living, activism is what I do to stay alive. And I am often asked how I managed to unite the two. But the truth is, I don't have a clue, because it was rarely a conscious effort, but more a natural progression. Of course, if you were raised in a very large, poor immigrant family, chances are you were either Irish Catholic or Hispanic, and I was lucky enough to be both. So I have a big head start when it comes to social justice activism. Each time someone stands up for an ideal, or acts to improve the lot of others, or strikes out against injustice, they send forth a tiny ripple of hope. And crossing each other from a million different centers of energy and daring, those ripples build a current which can sweep down the mightiest walls of oppression and injustice. Those words were spoken at the University of Cape Town, South Africa in 1966 by Senator Robert Francis Kennedy. They are inscribed on his memorial at Arlington National Cemetery as well, and they have been a powerful source of inspiration for my generation ever since. The more the world changes, the more it remains the same, I believe, because the three most important needs of every human being on earth are not only food, clothing, and shelter, but equally the need for justice, healing, and mercy. Without the latter, the former are useless. It is the gross inequality of food, clothing, and shelter that divides us, of course, but it is the absolute necessity for healing, justice, and mercy that unites us. Clearly, we need a far better understanding of who we are and why we are here. Consider the following, please, from Earth as a Village by Philip M. Haster, School of Medicine, Stanford University. If we could sink the Earth's population of over 7 billion people down to a single village consisting of 100 people, with all the existing ratios the same, it would look something like this. There would be 57 Asians, 12 Europeans, 17 Africans, and 14 people from the Western Hemisphere. There would be 52 women and 48 men, 70 non-whites and 30 whites. There would be 67 non-Christians and 33 Christians. There would be no doctor, no nurse, no dentist, no hospital or clinic, and no school. There would be no safe drinking water, no common language, no electricity, and no paved roads. 70 people would be unable to read or write. 50 people would be suffering from malnutrition and related diseases. 1 person would be near death and 1 person near birth. The entire food supply for the village would depend entirely on outside sources. Yet 6 people in the village would possess 59% of the entire world's wealth, and all 6 would be U.S. citizens. There would be 1 college graduate, 1 TV, 1 computer, and the average person in the village would be a 13-year-old Chinese girl. By your presence here today, you are not typical or average young people who generally see things as they are and ask why. You are dreaming that things that never were and saying, why not? And while no one can ever really tell us any fundamental truth that we don't already know instinctively, the challenge lies in accepting the responsibility for that knowingness. So whether we choose to acknowledge it or not, we are all responsible for each other and the world which is exactly the way it is, because consciously or unconsciously, we have made it so. And while none of us made any of the rules that govern the universe, we do make all the rules that govern our own hearts and minds. And we are all beneficiaries of the countless heroic strangers who have gone before us over the centuries and assure us that the world is still a wonderful and safe place despite our fears. And we're not asked to do great things. We are asked to do all things with greater care. Such an ideal is rare in a culture of so many compromised values and so much cynicism. A culture that all too often knows the price of everything and the value of nothing. And yet there remains a very real and mysterious yearning deep within every human heart that compels us to reach outside of ourselves and serve others for our own sake. This yearning is a manifestation of our true selves and leads to the very first small, conscious acts of personal heroism, like overcoming peer pressure, which often brings rejection from the crowd and satisfaction from the heart. This yearning can be very costly, however. If it were not so, we would be left to question its value. But this, above all, one heart with courage is a majority. Over the entire history of the human race, every truth began as a blasphemy, and no one has ever made a contribution of any real worth without self-sacrifice, personal suffering, and sometimes even death. The Irish tell a story of a man who arrives at the gates of heaven and asks to be let in. St. Peter says, "Of course, just show us your scars." The man says, "I have no scars." St. Peter says, "What a pity. Was there nothing worth fighting for?" My fondest wish for each and every one of you young people here today is that you will find something in your life worth fighting for, because when you do, you will have found a way to unite the will of the Spirit with the work of the flesh, and all of humanity will have discovered fire for the second time. Then, my friends, may the light and heat from that fire sustain our purpose and make every thought, every word, and every deed a reflection of our personal commitment to help heal a broken world wherever we may find it, so that in the end we may be made worthy of the long-promised blessing reserved for those who show mercy, and we can help lift up people everywhere to that place where the heart is without fear and the head is held high, where knowledge is free, where the world has not been broken up into fragments by narrow domestic walls, where words come out from the depths of truth and tireless striving stretches its arms towards perfection, where the clear stream of reason has not lost its way into the dreary desert sands of dead habit, where the mind is led forward by thee into ever-widening thought and action into that heaven of freedom, my Father. Let us all awake. Thank you so much.
For rental communities, we believe change starts with community. We can help communities.